when you do a small fast, you'll realize you start pacing in the kitchen or you start thinking about food, right? And you begin to realize that a lot of the tendencies that we incur when it comes to eating is just no thinking. It's just, I feel hungry, I'm going to eat. I feel hungry, I'm going to eat. Back in the day, you had to go hunt, you had to go get your food. So it's also about how you position yourself. I was saying yesterday to a buddy, make it so hard to lose that it becomes easy to win. So it's like, what's in your pantry?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if your pantry's with only clean food, whole foods, then you're not going to have this fight. And a lot of these things come down to personal fight. So if you clean your diet, you clean your water, and you clean your sleep, add a little bit of mobility, a little bit of exercise, you're doing better than 95% of people. When you add a layer on top of that is your skeletal muscle, right? So after the age of like 35, your body starts to break down. You're going to start feeling it, G. Like it's just natural. So if you have a strong skeletal muscle and you have good flexibility, great joints, you're going to be able to live and feel really, really good into the long age. It's all about longevity. It's all about longevity. You don't want to be feeling like an aesthetic king and not feel good inside. So I think it's also about taking care of the inside, making sure the colon is clean. And the final part is where happiness comes from at a chemical level, which would be your serotonin. And serotonin is produced mostly in the gut. It's not produced in the brain. So naturally, by having a healthy gut, you have what? Healthy mood. And you have a happy mood. You have a higher elevated tendency. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. Just food, sleep, water, the essentials, mobility,
Glass
and you're
bottles.
good. Yeah, glass bottle water.
Does it get to a point where it goes too far though? Because like
No,
Tom, for
bro.
example, he's
Doesn't
on
go
one end
too
of the
far,
extreme.
bro. What's the end,
Explain that though.
He's just crazy with it. Like he will only eat the right stuff. I can't be asked to obviously go through and list
Is
them,
that
but it's just
crazy though?
All
You
the
know?
right, no,
Bro,
but it's,
is it okay if I don't poison myself
Yeah,
every
like,
now and then? No,
How
bro.
is that some extraordinary? Like,
I think it
no
is.
way. He
I think it
only
is.
eats whole foods.
But
like-
extraordinary things achieve extraordinary results. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. That guy will not flake a day. And look what he's 38 competing with 17-year-olds.
yeah, I get that. I guess
I
it's
think
just,
our argument's more like I try and eat nice 80% of the time, eat clean, and then 20% I might have a burger or I might have something that's not so good. Whereas Tom, 100% of the time, more or less, eats.
But here's,
and he won't compromise.
And I wish I could do that.
here's my
but-
argument, and you'll probably agree with this, is if it's black and white, there's an obvious I can have that, I can't have that, I can do that, I can't. If you allow a little bit of room for this grey area, where's the line? Because you say 20%, you can't track what 20% means. So then on a random Thursday, if you fancy McDonald's, what's to stop you that day just going, okay, I can have it. But there's no way to track if you've had your 20%. So you're more likely to creep in and have more and more. Whereas if it's just this food doesn't exist for me. It's so easy.
It's even categorizing it as food in the first place.
Yeah, it's not
like
even food.
that's the fallacy because it's not food, right? And the reason you're craving it is because it's an addiction. It's not because you want it because it's healthy. So it's just the relationship that you have with food and towards it, and realizing whether what you're doing is positive to your body or negative, and just be okay with the consequences that come with it. If you want to eat a burger, so be it, dude. But just know that the consequences are attached to what? Consistent bad habits. It's not about having a burger. It's not the issue. It's about life patterns, right? It's about accumulative of building blocks. A bad decision, cancer doesn't show up overnight. Alzheimer's doesn't show up overnight. It's a slippery slope. These things take time. So it's a process, but it's also about positive reinforcement. You got to be inducing positive things. And this idea of like, well, I'm going to cheat a couple times. It's like a fucked up mindset. It's like a wrong mindset.